Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Nick, and in today's video I want to talk about, do crested geckos get lonely? Okay, now to most of you this is a very obvious answer, but to some beginners it's really not, because we think of dogs who most like other dogs. We think of humans. We typically like to be around other people. Maybe not a lot of people, but sometimes we like being around our friends, our family, something like that. So it's very easy to put human emotions into animals, like reptiles for the most part, and thinking that they need something more. They're yearning for more. They want someone or something in their tank with them to help them be friends with, or something that makes them happy, right? You know, maybe being around other geckos makes them happy, and maybe that they find friendship and they're friends with their geckos. Oh, they sleep together, things like this. So it's very easy to put these emotions in geckos. But let's just answer the first thing right off the bat is, do they get lonely? Absolutely not, okay? Now, this gecko, and so here's the thing, guys. In the past, I cohabbed, and I'm not anti-cohab at all. I think it can be done. I think it can be done properly. It just wasn't right for me, so I don't do it anymore. I think that a lot of people who cohab probably should not cohab. I think that there's a good chunk of people out there who cohab, but they know what they're doing and they do it well. I just, personally for me, in my life, it was easier for me to make the decision to say, I don't want to cohab anymore, and then I quit cohabbing. So something, it's simple as that. It's really not this like, oh, I hate you if you cohab. I think cohab's the worst thing in the world. I personally don't do it, and it just is what it is. These geckos don't get lonely. Like I said, I have cohab. So I see some people get this argument of like, oh, well, my geckos are always together and things like this, and if I separate them, they don't eat. That's just a lie, and that's a good excuse to not change what you're doing if something did need to be changed, okay? If you're doing like a male and a female together, I would still recommend separating them during the winter months for at least a cool down, okay? It's important to separate during those months. In my opinion, I think best practice is still separating your males to be away from the females for at least 3 to 4 months out of the year. I have all these geckos. They've all been cohab together at some point with some animal, okay? Or they've all been cohab together with either multiple females or another male, okay? I've since separated all of them. Nothing bad has come from it. They don't miss each other. They don't look for each other. They still eat just fine. Nothing has happened from separating them. So if you're scared to separate, don't be, because that's just not how it works. These animals are not going to go into a depression. They don't think that way. They're not like us. Just remember that they're not like us, and try to really dissociate yourself from thinking and putting feelings onto them that they just don't have. And another thing too is, when it comes to like feelings and things like that with these guys, you have to understand too that like they don't need us to hold them. We like holding them because that's why we have them, right? I love holding my geckos. My geckos are freaking cool. I love looking at them. I think it's just really awesome to see these guys, especially when they're in your hand, because you get to see them up close. But does she get anything out of this? I don't really think so. I definitely agree with most people who think that they just tolerate us. Some tolerate me better than others do. As you can see, Donnie here has been fantastic on my hand now, and she's just chilling, you know, and I'm letting her hand walk, and she's just doing just fine. So I don't think she likes this. I don't think she hates it. I think she's just kind of like, nah, this is what it is. He's making another YouTube video. It'll be over in 5 minutes. All of our geckos do just fine alone. And I think a big reason for that is you have to understand some geckos do thrive together. And I don't even think that sometimes cohab's the worst thing in the world, because it definitely does. It's good and bad for different reasons. But anytime you have multiple geckos together, what you're gonna have is a fight for resources, okay? Now, I say fight. Don't think like they're biting each other in the face and things like this. That can happen, but typically it doesn't work like that. Typically it is more of a race to the resources, making sure you eat. When I did cohab, I did feed a lot more. I made sure that there was always full food in there and that it was fresh. So if like one night they ate all the food bowls down, I'd fill them up again, because I was always concerned, what if this one didn't eat? Even if they were all the same weight, same size, same age, my mind always went to, I want to make sure that they're eating. And the only way that I can make sure that they're eating is if there's always food in there, right? That's one check of the balances to make sure that they're eating, right? They can't eat if they don't have food. Okay, another thing too when it comes to that is, since there is a fight for resources, make sure you have a lot of hides and things like that, right? So I still provide a ton of hides, but now it's just for one gecko. I could easily, in these tubs with how many hides I have and climbing opportunities and things like this, I could have 3 geckos in there, because that's the same thing as an 18 by 18 by 24. You can do 3 geckos in an 18 by 18 by 24. I did it. I cohabbed them in a tank like that. And I never really had any issues. I never had bite marks. I never had scars from fighting. But like I said, I was very, very diligent in making sure that these guys were fed properly and that they always had food in there. There were crickets in there at all times. Made very certain that there was plenty of resources so it didn't become an issue. I also made certain that there were plenty of hides, like I was just mentioning. But now I have a ton of hides for one gecko. So it's not, I don't think it's this competition of like who takes care of their geckos better and things like that, because I think that we all do things differently and we all have certain things we succeed in. We all have certain things that we don't succeed in. But at the end of the day, geckos don't need other geckos. And I think that a lot of times too, it creates just that natural competition. And for me personally, I just didn't really like that as much, and I didn't think it was as necessary to do on my geckos. I know that a lot of people too think like, you know, crested geckos, they can live together, but it doesn't always work out forever. You know, I've heard stories of they were together for 5 years and then one day this happened. I can't believe it. And once again, I think that it gets back to like, that's very rare. For me personally, it's not a like, well, why even risk it? It was more of a decision on my part to be like, this works better for me. And while it does take me more time to feed everybody, it's easier for me to keep an eye on everybody this way than it is doing it any other way. So I broke it down like this in my mind. I said, do they actually need each other to survive? The answer is 100% no. So if I'm keeping them together, I said, why am I keeping them together? Okay, for me, it was saving space, number one, right? That's the easiest answer, which is why I had to move to tubs, because I don't have space for 20 tanks, or 25 tanks, 30 tanks. I don't have that space, but what I do have space for is I can stack tubs. So I had to do that. I had to sit down and say, well, I can't exactly afford all these tanks, and nor do I have the space for them. We need to move to tubs. And then at that point I had to make sure the tubs were big enough for one gecko to be in there. I personally, like I said, I just did it because personally I just didn't want to risk it anymore. And it's funny too, because I didn't really ever have any negative things happen from cohab. And I haven't even heard of many negative things that happen from cohab other than what people say and what you've read online and things like that. But I haven't experienced any of it, so I can't really attest to any of that. So like I said, I just broke it down to I'm cohabbing them more so for selfish reasons than for their reasons, okay? And I think that that's true for pretty much every cohab. You're doing it because you don't want another tank, or you don't want to buy another tank. Now, I don't think that people are sitting there being like, oh, I don't want to pay for anything for these guys, I don't want to take care of them, so they're just living together. I think it's more passive of like, no, they do fine together, I don't need to upgrade or do anything. Yeah, is what it is. And I don't think there's anything, like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just personally said, I think I need to move away from this style of keeping. It was more stressful too, because I was constantly worried like, oh my, is something gonna happen? Is something gonna happen to them? I'm checking on them all the time and things like this. And now that I've separated them, I've been able to relax and just be like, enjoy the geckos for just being the geckos, looking at them. And like I said, it's much, much, much easier to visually inspect them and make sure they're doing well. You know they're eating because there's only one food bowl in there and there's one gecko, so if there's lick marks, you know they ate. There's only one gecko in there, so if you dump in 12 crickets and you only see 4 the next day, you know they ate. So things like that are a big deal to me, and it made it easier for my lifestyle. Like I said, this is not an anti-cohab video at all. This is simply this is an anti-crested geckos get lonely video. I don't believe that. I'll never believe that, because they do just fine alone. Things that get lonely don't do good alone. These guys do fantastic alone, okay? So, with that said, guys, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, please comment down below your opinions on this, because I know that it's such a hot button topic, and if you're in any Facebook group, you know at least once a week we're gonna have a 400 comment thread on why everybody's an idiot and why you don't know how to keep, and you're murdering geckos, and you're the worst person in the world, you're torturing your animals. We've all been there. We see those. Those happen weekly. Like, this is a constant topic people talk about, which is why I don't really want to make videos on it, because I feel like we get plenty of content on it. So if you guys have opinions on it, comment them down below. Be nice to each other, because like I said, I'm not even anti-cohab. So comment what you think. Let me know. Let's have a discussion, because I love talking to you guys. But until next time, guys, stay safe and stay positive.